Tensions between Iran and the United States have once again reached a critical and deeply complex phase, as new reports from the Wall Street Journal, WSJ, suggest a growing atmosphere of distrust, fear, and strategic uncertainty surrounding renewed diplomatic efforts. At the center of this geopolitical situation is Donald Trump, whose recent actions, particularly extending a negotiation deadline, have raised serious questions about his true intentions. While diplomacy is publicly presented as a path toward reducing tensions, Iranian officials and regional observers increasingly suspect that something far more dangerous may be developing behind the scenes. Today we will talk about WSJ, Iran fears Donald Trump is setting a deadly trap. So before we start, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. More rising suspicion, Iran's fear of a strategic trap. According to WSJ sources, Iran's leadership is deeply concerned that the current diplomatic efforts may not be genuine attempts at peace, but rather a calculated move by the United States and its close ally, Israel. Iranian and Arab officials reportedly believe that negotiations, especially face-to-face meetings, could serve as a setup for a high-profile assassination or targeted strike. One of the central figures in this concern is Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf, the current Speaker of Iran's parliament. Iranian intelligence assessments suggest that if such a meeting were to occur, it could potentially be used as an opportunity by US or Israeli forces to eliminate him. This belief reflects a broader pattern of mistrust based on past events, be it where diplomacy and military action have overlapped in dangerous ways. Historical context: negotiations amid conflict. Iran's concerns are not without reason. The memory of recent conflicts continues to shape its view of Western intentions. Reports indicate that both the ongoing war and a previous 12-day conflict last June were started during periods when diplomatic engagement was supposedly underway. This overlap between negotiation and military escalation has created a strong belief within Iran that diplomacy may be used as a cover for strategic attacks. Particularly alarming to Iranian officials is the record of Israeli operations. Israel has repeatedly targeted high-ranking political and military leaders within Iran. In one of the most serious developments mentioned in the WSJ report, early strikes in the current conflict reportedly resulted in the death of Ali Khamenei, a figure of immense political and religious importance. Such actions reinforce the belief that removing leadership figures is a deliberate strategy. The Ghalibaf factor, a potential bridge or a target. Another important dimension comes from reporting by Politico, which suggests that US officials view Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf as a potentially practical figure within Iran's political system. According to these assessments, he could serve as a possible partner for future negotiations or even cooperation. However, this dual perception, seeing Ghalibaf as both a potential partner and a possible target, adds to Iran's concern. From Tehran's point of view, such mixed signals raise doubts about the honesty of US intentions. What if Washington truly sees Ghalibaf as a bridge for dialogue? The idea of a threat connected to diplomatic meetings creates serious contradictions. Trump's strategy: oil prices or political leverage. Another major factor in Iran's skepticism is the motivation of Donald Trump himself. Iranian analysts and WSJ sources suggest that Trump's decision to extend the negotiation deadline may not be driven by a true desire for peace, but rather by economic reasons, especially the global price of oil. Iranian officials believe that by creating the appearance of possible diplomatic progress, Trump may be trying to stabilize or reduce oil prices, which are highly sensitive to tensions in the Middle East. Once that objective is achieved, they fear that military actions could begin again. But this idea, reflects a broader belief within Iran that US foreign policy under Trump is influenced by short-term economic goals rather than long-term diplomatic commitments. A climate of deep distrust. The main theme in all of these developments is strong and deeply rooted distrust. Iran does not appear convinced that the United States is acting honestly, and every move, whether diplomatic or military, is viewed with suspicion and caution. Iranian leadership believes that past experiences have shown that official statements from Washington do not always match real actions on the ground. Because of this, even offers of negotiation are often interpreted as strategic moves rather than genuine attempts at peace. This distrust has developed over many years of conflict, sanctions, and broken agreements. Iranian officials argue that previous diplomatic engagements have not led to lasting stability, but instead have sometimes been followed by increased pressure or military escalation. As a result, there is a strong belief within Iran that trust cannot be built simply through words, especially when those words come from leaders like Donald Trump, whose policies toward Iran have included both calls for negotiation and aggressive economic and military actions. This distrust is further increased by the involvement of Israel, whose security concerns and firm stance toward Iran are widely known. Israel has consistently identified Iran as a major threat and has taken direct and indirect actions to limit Iran's regional influence. Because of this history, Iranian officials see Israel not just as an observer, but as an active participant in shaping events. Any negotiation involving the United States is therefore viewed through the lens of U.S.-Israel cooperation. The close relationship between U.S. and Israeli strategies makes it extremely difficult for Iran to separate diplomatic efforts from possible military intentions. From Tehran's perspective, decisions made in Washington are often aligned with Israeli security goals, which increases fears that diplomacy could be used alongside or even in support of military planning. This creates a situation where even peaceful proposals are treated with doubt, as Iran considers the possibility that talks could be used to gather intelligence, create strategic advantages, or prepare for future attacks. In such an environment, trust becomes almost impossible to establish. Every signal is questioned. Every delay is analyzed, and every invitation to negotiate is carefully examined for hidden motives. This ongoing climate of distrust not only complicates current negotiations, but also reduces the chances of long-term solutions, as both sides remain locked in a cycle of suspicion and strategic caution. The broader implications for regional stability. The importance of this situation goes beyond just Iran and the United States. The Middle East remains a region where even small mistakes can lead to major conflicts. If Iran's fears are correct, or even if they lead to defensive reactions, the risk of escalation could rise significantly. Nearby countries, global energy markets, and international security systems could all be affected. The idea that diplomacy could be used as a cover for attacks weakens trust in international negotiations and could create a dangerous example for future conflicts. Diplomacy or deception? As the situation continues to develop, one key question remains. Is the current push for negotiations a real effort to reduce tensions, or a strategic move designed to achieve other goals? For Iran, the answer appears increasingly clear. There is little trust and significant concern. For the United States, especially under Donald Trump's leadership, the strategy remains unclear, combining diplomacy, economic goals, and military readiness. In this high-risk situation, the line between negotiation and conflict is very thin. Whether this moment leads to real dialogue or further confrontation will depend not only on actions, but also on whether trust, currently very limited, can be rebuilt. If you liked this video and would like to see more like it, please give it the thumbs up. Leave a comment and click the button to subscribe.